If people wanted to sell before earnings, I think tomorrow's going to be the day. Like tomorrow at 3:30, the bloodbath begins. You know what I mean? And then the ones that hold on to it after earnings will be fine. But I think, if people want to sell, today's not the day. I think tomorrow in the afternoon, you'll see. Like after that, like 9 till 11 a.m. run up, that's when I think we'll see the sell off. Hey, Chris, we were just talking about both of us kind of expected to see somewhat of a sell off today, but in thinking about it, if it's going to be about earnings, I think I won't see that. We won't see that till tomorrow.
I think it's going to depend on which industry and sector. Like what we're likely to see, in my opinion, is like I said, the ones that are supposed to be the weakest will end up performing fine, and the ones that expectations are the best are going to end up being the ones that get corrected. So like I think right now tech may be the one area that's not so hot. So I know like SaaS has been recovering a lot lately. So it's just a thought, I'd be Yo, Chris, I felt bad after you said I was a loser for not buying Facebook. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that.
All right.
I don't usually read the comments right at the same time, but yeah, let me just finish my thought with earnings. I think the sectors that are very undervalued, they're going to be okay. The ones that are overvalued may end up taking a dip. So I'm in agreement with you guys. It's definitely something to be very cautious of going into earnings.
But the big one's going to be Tesla this week, and I'm seeing arguments on both sides that they're going to beat on that margins won't be as bad, or the margins will be made up by total revenue, and whether or not the market's going to care. Well, they will just be looking at margins. I think it's going to be one of those canary earnings, kind of like Apple used to be. If Apple does well, markets typically do well. I think if Tesla doesn't hit what they think, it's going to be bad.
All right, so we got a lot to talk about in today's show. Thank you, 157 people being here in 2 minutes. Really, really appreciate it. We got a lot to discuss. Today was an incredibly exciting day in the market, to say the least. Pre-markets were red, so we kind of thought, all right, S&P at 450 last week, 10% off from the all-time highs on the S&P. A little, we're going to get a little sell-off. Things are going to be okay, and it's natural. I think all of us were prepared for a little bit more of a red day. In fact, some of us really wanted a decently red day to pick up some shares on companies we think are undervalued. And the market said no. Within 15, 20 minutes, everything, Palantir pushed 17, Tesla hit 290, Enphase gets to 189. And so the market kind of went in berserk today. You got, Upstart doing really well. So we had a lot of stocks doing really well. So I feel
like someone talked to us about that stock. Upstart, is that UPST? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, it was being mentioned today. For some reason, somehow people were talking about it. So we got a lot to discuss.
Real quick, what was Tesla volume and Palantir volume today?
Let me check.
Because Tesla got a 52-week high today, right? It closed at 900 billion.
Did it close at 900 billion?
I think so. I think it closed at over 900 billion for the first time since it was 900 billion.
Okay,
keep me honest in the chat.
Palantir's volume was 63 million, and Tesla closed today at 920 billion.
I'm saying,
and 131 million in volume.
We're starting to get real F word, real F word in the markets right now.
All right, so we got a lot to talk about. I want to break it up by segments. We also, I think we want to talk a little bit about PayPal since we started doing a little bit more due diligence on that. Let's start it off with this open-ended question. Why did you think the market rallied today? What stocks were you looking at? What stocks did you buy? What plays did you do? Are you thinking of selling off anything? We'll start with Vitaly, who has a very interesting name today. We'll start with him. What was your raw take today in today's market? Then we'll go to Chris and Carlos.
Actually, okay, my name. Do you know who that is?
I have no idea who this guy is.
He has no idea who that is.
I don't know who Eddie Vader is. I've never heard of Eddie Vader.
Vader.
I know a guy named Eddie, not Eddie Vader.
It's Vader's brother in Star Wars. Don't you know?
Wait, really? That's a thing?
No, there was never any brother of Anakin. Anakin was
so fucking funny. Pearl Jam, dude. That's the problem. You don't know anything about anything. Like, you still got so much to learn.
You know what?
Listen.
It's kind of like ChatGPT. That's like, I don't know anything before 2021.
Do you guys know that movie, Grayson Galley? Where's the movie where the quote comes, "Always be closing"? What's the name of that movie? It starts with a G.
Be closing.
you guys know them? It's from the 1984.
Gattaca?
No. Always Be
No.
Closing is the real estate film, right? That's what you're talking about?
Yeah. What's the name of that fucking movie, bro? I was hearing about it today.
You should watch that movie too. I forgot the name though.
I forgot the name of it too. But yeah, I have to watch that movie because that's someone in the chat. Always be closing. That's what it's like. You can't have coffee until you close. That was one of the quotes from the movie. I know someone will recognize it.
It's called
but
Always Be Closing. Alec Baldwin.
No. Glenn Gary, Glenn Ross.
Glenn Gary.
Yeah.
Yes. Have you guys seen that?
Yes, of course.
Chris, have you seen it?
I haven't seen it, no.
I haven't seen that one, so I got to watch that one. That was a good Glenn Gary, Glenn Ross. Yes, I got to see this one. Anyway, I was gonna say I know about Dawson's Creek, and I think that's the only thing that matters when it comes to pop culture. So
Yeah, that's true.
anyway, Vitaly, what did you do today in the market? What were your thoughts?
Well, I think you know what I did. Bought some basically spreads on PayPal. Me and Chris and you, Amit, have been going back. I'm not sure if Carlos participated, but basically, I do think PayPal is looking really saucy. I think there's a moment in time. I don't know when it is, but it should move up, and I want to be part of it.
I think financials in general have been sold off way beyond what's reasonably expected. Most of the regionals are trading at single-digit PEs. Their business is not nearly as bad. So what we're seeing this week is mostly a lot of the earnings this week is primarily with banks. So what we're seeing is as the financials all as a sector recover, you're starting to see that kind of like float up. So it's almost like the entire sector is moving in one direction, right? Whether you're looking at like the TFCs of the world, the JP Morgans of the world, everyone is kind of pushing in that direction. So there was a lot of bearish sentiment going into 2023 with the banks, especially because of all the stuff that happened with First Republic and Silicon Valley. And now we're starting to see, oh, maybe it's not that bad. So net interest income margins are fine for the most part. So a lot of them are reporting this week. So I'll be very interested to see. I'm actually very bullish on earnings because there's been such a big pessimistic tone to it. And
now, Chris, that's different. You kind of felt Q2 earnings might disappoint. So have you changed a little bit in the past weeks, just seeing?
Yeah, JP Morgan's numbers help change that a little bit, where you're starting to see net interest income is not nearly as bad as what people are expecting it to be, especially among the regional banks. So I think it's going to be a better quarter than what most people are expecting. So when it comes down to it, do you guys know about? So I have this thing called the Beyonce Lizzo scale. Do you know what that is?
I've never heard of this. No.
So going into earnings, I said, it's like going on a Tinder date. So the way that I could best explain it is like if you're expecting Beyonce to show up and Lizzo shows up, you're going to be very disappointed, you know? But if you're expecting Lizzo to show up and Nicki Minaj shows up, you're going to be fucking happy, right? So now everyone is expecting Lizzo to show up for bank earnings. So, you know, my guess is that instead you're probably going to see Nicki Minaj show up, you know? So.
Okay.
I put up a little chart. I've been tracking PayPal for a while. If you want to bring it up. Okay.
Yeah,
so what's interesting? There's a couple of things. First of all, PayPal has, I don't know all the gaps, but there's so many just gaps.
Can you explain what a gap is for those that have no idea what a gap is?
So here's one. I'll just go right to it. So if a stock basically opens or closes and it doesn't actually go through a certain price and it just gaps down or gaps up, there's like a certain price window missing. For some reason, people think these gaps should be filled. I'm not one of them, but they tend to be filled a lot of the time. I think it's like 70-80%. So basically right now, do you see this gap right here between 140 and it looks like 150?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a possibility these gaps get filled if market likes to fill it. And there's others. There's actually a lot of them. And I think Jesse Dow did have a tweet on this. I didn't read the whole thing, but he has a more accurate description of all the gaps that PayPal has. And so these things tend to get filled. Like I said, it's a 70-80% thing. And not necessarily for PayPal, but for the S&P. And on our Discord, there's some guys like Anthony C who follow these gaps religiously. Like they have lists and lists of like all the gaps that are getting filled. And it works out a lot of times. So I just want to point out also 200 days is approaching. And it's failed the 200-day for a while now. And what that means that we get to see if this is really bullish or not. And we're going to know really soon, because if it fails that, it gets to retest something around $60. And if it shoots up, I think we're heading almost to $100. honestly. So I think there's not a lot of resistance here, a lot of support at around, or a lot of resistance at $100 or so, 95 to 100. And then after that, it's 120. And then that's when gaps start getting filled. And then it can move up really fast if it actually gets beyond that $120. So it's interesting. I don't know what's going to happen, but that's why I'm placing my chips on the table to see what happens. That
Bring up that
Yeah.
chart that I that's the tweet. It was this morning. He goes into the gaps.
Yeah. The other thing is basically a lot of the structural changes they are also making at the company are gonna start showing up during this
Yeah,
earnings.
so Chris, let's actually get into that. I want to give you
Yeah.
5 minutes. You were doing a lot of DD last night. What is your kind of short bull case on PayPal?
So the bull case on PayPal is kind of like threefold. Number one is they did a headcount reduction of almost 7% of their total headcount, right, for global workforce. So that is a huge amount of basically a huge amount of mouths to feed, right? Their global growth slowdown is there, so you're not seeing the crazy rapid growth that you were seeing before. But it's not that it's not growing, and it's still a very profitable company. It's generating a shit ton of cash flow. It's got almost 20 billion in cash. They just recently did a $40 billion deal with God damn it, who was it? With a PE fund to basically unload some of their BNPL loans that are outstanding, which will end up giving them a lot more liquidity. KKR. So it just bodes well for PayPal going into this earnings. And like I said, it's just bullishness overall. There's still this overhang of the CEO thing that's keeping Wall Street away. But from what I'm seeing a lot of retail interest starting to jump in again, you know.
And don't forget, they're buying back 17 billion or something worth of stock. And I think I wrote you
they're doing five. I think they're doing 5 billion a year. Yeah.
Right. But it was total in 2022 that was approved. Yeah. I think it was like 16, 17 billion. So they're doing around 5 billion. That's crazy. That's a lot of cash to be buying back when you're worth, what are they worth? 60 billion?
No,
what's the market cap? Look it up.
80 billion.
Right, but still, like they're buying back a big percentage of their float. That's kind of amazing.
And there is almost zero insider selling as well, right? No one has sold shares.
That was the other thing. Schulman, who was their CEO, bought in February around $73, so it's currently around the same price. And then there was a whole bunch of options exercises in the last like 3 or 4 months, and none of them were turnaround where they exercise the option, they sell it to do tax losses. They all kept them. So in terms of like executive leanings, they're leaning more towards the bullish side of things. So my guess would be that, you know, it's definitely going to penetrate the $100 mark. I just don't know when it's going to be. So when it comes down to it, you know, a lot of our spreads, that's what we did. The bullishness around the long side of our spread leg was really juicy, and so we got a very big discount on the nearer term spread. So, you know, I think it was good. This morning we fucking picked them up at a really good price. You know? Also,
it's 2025. It's 2025, and I even looked at back into, because yes, I did the spreads, but I'm also checking out the leaps and selling puts like I did a month ago, and we talked about this yesterday. I'm still looking into that because it still makes sense to do it. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
that you can get them. It sounds expensive. I think it's December 2025. It's around $28 for a $60 strike. That's so it's let's say $90. It has to be over in almost 3 years. Okay, so the PayPal story has failed if in 3 years they cannot be over 90. And if you want to be really safe, well, safe or dangerous, actually dangerous, you sell some puts and basically collect $10 in premium, knocking down 30% of that upfront cost for the calls. Does that make sense?
What's the premium for the in the money?
If you're at 60 bucks, that's what I looked at.
But I'm saying $70. Like you're at $70.
Well, $60 is in the money. If you're at 70, it's a lot cheaper. I think $20, 22, something like that. It's
Vitaly,
like
given Vitaly, you bought in the money. How would you answer Richie's question? Thank you for the $5 super chat. Do you think massive OTM PayPal leaps are a solid play right now?
I don't do that. So the thing is, I think Chris is much more. He looks further out in terms of out of the money. I actually look at mostly buying in the money leaps or spreads. So I think today I was not in the money, but I was like $3 away. So it's the spreads are like $3 away. It's like nothing. But usually I am very close or in the money. That's the way I like to do it. I just like some safety in my leaps, basically.
But also, if you pull up a monthly chart, if you want to look at the last time PayPal was at this price, like it touches this price, right? From 2022 to 2023. But before these years, the last time it was at this price,
2015.
May 2018.
Oh, sorry, 2018. Right. 2018.
So in May 2018, it hit 73, it hit $74, and that's what basically triggered a run up for 2.5 years, and then basically another year and a half or so down. Do you see this? Here, I'll just share this one because I have the window set perfectly.
Okay, let's see.
Just look at this. Sometimes it's nice to just zoom out and look at the monthly. So the last time we were at this price here was, look at this, May 2018. Then we had this run up, right? And now we've fallen. But if you see here, this was a point of resistance. The $70 or $75 range was a resistance, or it was support. Then it failed underneath. Now it's coming back up to test it. If it breaks this, then you're at least looking at, say, clear skies at $115, and then so on and so forth. Because 115 is another.
And the weird thing is, I did look at the revenue from 2018 to now. It's doubled its revenue, basically. Wow. So you're talking about they're trading the same as 2018, and they're still growing. I think it's low.
And look at cash on the balance sheet. Look at the cash on the balance sheet. So even any share buyback plans that they have, they can fund it with operating cash flows plus the shares they already have on their balance sheet, plus the net interest income that they'll generate on just their cash position ends up being about $2 billion per year. So it's like,
did they give a number for what the buybacks would be?
17. Right? 17 billion?
17 billion.
This goes back to the whole belief. Look, once again, not a fintech fan, but winners keep winning. Okay. PayPal is a winner. They own a lot of the space. When I go on a website, almost any website, you're going to have a PayPal option. And yes, there's going to be other options, and there's going to be some market penetration by Apple or whatever. But PayPal's not going anywhere. Okay.
Vitaly, can you explain to me why the market let it get to 58? I mean, what was the stock market thinking?
Well, why did they let Meta get to 88? Like,
no, but I think we can kind of point.
Thing.
We can kind of point, but I'm asking qualitatively because Meta, there was some TikTok fear. Zuck's
no, it's the same story. It's the same story. Apple is coming. Apple is going to kill them. MasterCard controls the network. They don't. It's the same story over and over that's playing out. It's just ridiculous. And the thing is, while that's playing out, I still use Venmo every day. I don't know if you do, but I use Venmo every day. I pay people through Venmo all the time. I pay my contractors through Venmo. It's easier for everybody. Okay. Zelle, like I know people talk about Zelle as competition. Have you ever tried to pay a new person like more than $3?
It's so annoying.
Okay. Yeah. You're put into a hold for 30 days. Okay. You try to pay more than $500. They put you in a hold. Now you have to wait 30 days. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I can't pay you through Zelle. Do you have a Venmo? Like literally, that's the conversation that ends up happening all the time. With all the contractors, all the tenants.
Rango has a good potential. I forgot they bought a company for $28 billion in Australia for this bullshit buy now pay later.
No.
Do you think that's what
they paid? $2 billion. Square paid $28 billion. They even did a better thing.
You're right.
They actually did not overpay for any companies. Okay, but they keep acquiring. That does keep happening. So if you're gonna bet on a fintech, honestly, PayPal is the one to bet on at a 14, 15 PE. That's the one to. Like that's the comeback story that's going to happen. Yeah. And if it doesn't, you're not going to lose a lot of money. So it's what is it going to 0? No.
They have 430 million users. Yeah.
Last quarter they did 1.4 billion in share buyback. So if you imagine that's probably going to be a continuous thing now going for the next 6 to 7 quarters, at least I would say from a trailing standpoint. So just think about that. So every quarter you're getting $1.5 billion worth of share buybacks. I mean, even if let's say they stayed flat in terms of market cap, that means that the stock price would go much higher because that would mean that there's less share count out there,
There is something interesting that actually I learned from watching Future Investing. Is that what it's called? With Tanner?
Tanner. Yeah.
Well, Future Investing, right? Is that?
I call him Tanner. I don't call him Future Investing.
That's
such a weird name.
They all got stupid names, dude. All your SoFi friends have stupid names. One is
something
data-driven investing, fundamentals of.
Dude, you're talking.
Okay, hold on. No, but they're building brands.
Cubed.
You're talking to Sphere, and you're talking an occasional hand job or whatever. They're built data-driven. Chris is actually building a brand like data-driven investing. But Tanner should just call himself Tanner because he's on YouTube. It's like he should just call himself Tanner. He's not Future Investing.
All right. That is a sidetrack, and we're gonna have to have an intervention with Future Investing. But He did have a good podcast with Jeremy where he mentioned something I had no idea, that PayPal they own their whole business in China. I didn't know that.
Wait, they what in China?
They own their own payments network in China or whatever they're doing. China doesn't own 40% of them like they own everybody else.
Who did they sleep with to get that China?
Well, no, this is actually interesting. Like Tesla owns their own factory and they don't have to partner with the Chinese and give them 40-50%. PayPal is doing something similar. I mean, it's interesting. I don't know how much PayPal is used there actually, but definitely interesting.
It was actually funny that you mentioned that because I was on something on Taobao. Taobao is like,
can you block Cameron for me or I'll do it?
Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
So I was trying to order something that's like a custom part specifically for like a GPU, right? So basically I wanted to order an eGPU that was because like the American eGPUs that they have, they're all fucking garbage. So I just wanted one that connects to a Thunderbolt, that connects to a dock. And there's this Chinese company that makes this amazing one. This American guy, he put a YouTube video on it, but you could only order it through this Chinese website. So I'm like, man, I don't want to fucking give my my information to some fucking random Chinese website. So I didn't know this, but they actually had a link with PayPal. So like literally the website is in Chinese, which then gets translated into like English. And then you put your order in and everything goes through your PayPal. And so the entire transaction, even though it's an international transaction, is done through PayPal. So you as a consumer could buy stuff from China or wherever else in the world. And now you have PayPal as the go-between, right? I don't know if there's any other company that's doing that right now. Maybe Visa and MasterCard probably have options like that. But as far as
PayPal has buyer protection too. So if they scam
you,
you get it back.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So all these payment networks that are popping up, right? There's so many of them. So I think what's going to happen is what's happening with Netflix and streaming. They're going to consolidate and Netflix is going to win and PayPal is going to win. And obviously I'm not saying Apple's going away, but the problem with Apple is they're only half the market, right? PayPal is the whole market.
Right.
You need an
iPhone, Apple's not disrupting the fintech space. Like, yes, people will use it. It's not, but I don't believe that people care.
Well, there's another factor, and this is something that I highlighted today. A lot of businesses are turning their back on Apple because Apple is being
Spotify. You want to talk about that stuff?
Yes. Yeah. So today, Andrej put up a thing on Twitter, basically that Apple Pay is no longer working. Spotify does not let you pay using Apple Pay. So all the other options were Visa, MasterCard, and PayPal. So that's what he put up right there. As of July 19, 2023, automatically switch to our free ad supported, blah, blah, blah. So if you are, let's say, a subscriber to Spotify and you are paying with Apple Pay, it's not going to be allowed anymore. But instead, you can just go to PayPal, just scroll down, and they have a PayPal option.
This is weird. So, why? Why would they even care?
Because there's a 30% tax.
Right, because if you like go to the Spotify app itself, right, and you go to do membership, there's an option, at least in the past, where you could pay with Apple Pay, right? So if you paid with Apple Pay, that means that 30% of the monthly income goes to Apple. So no one wants that bullshit.
It's pretty insane, bro. They do that for every app on
Twitter.
The app store.
Well, hold on. Right now in the App Store, I have the same issue, obviously. They're taking 30% from all of my apps, but I don't have a choice. However, people pay through. So they're saying Spotify is telling people to go outside of the app because as soon as you pay inside the app, you're paying Apple 30%, whether you use Apple Pay or MasterCard. It doesn't matter.
Exactly. So Spotify says to upgrade to premium. They literally say, we're sorry for the inconvenience. Please open a desktop and sign up for premium.
Okay.
And they know it's going to fuck their churn, but they're just like, the 30% is worse than the churn from the inconvenience.
Not to mention it's a one-time sign up.
There's another problem that I want to, as a developer on the App Store, I have no access to the actual users. So I don't know if you guys know that, but I don't get their emails. I don't get, so they do email me if there's a problem. Because in my app, there's like contact the person if there's a problem. So all I get is the hate mail. I want a refund. I want this. And then I have to explain to them, I can't refund you. I don't control anything between our relationship except the fact that you're using the app. So if you want a refund, now you have to contact Apple, which makes a terrible experience because I can't even refund the person because I'd have no problem giving their person $5 back, whatever. So it makes a bad experience that way. And Apple has never solved this, at least from what I've seen.
Yeah.
That's a problem with Apple being so big. They're not looking to disrupt anything. They just want to be a middleman and get their little cut.
They want their
wherever
VIG.
that they can.
That's it.
And they are getting the data. They are getting the data on the people that are buying your apps. It is kind of fucked up. They should give you that data. They should give you the mailing lists.
You don't get the mailing. You get nothing. The data. That's good, I guess, for the consumer who's anonymized. But then when the consumer has an actual issue, like they're actually emailing me, because I do have email me.
Yeah, but maybe you should put that into the app, like a username password that is their email, so that you can get that information, have them input it.
I do have some apps that have that. But
saying?
not everybody. Okay, so my apps are not like you need to sign into every app. So there are apps like that, like you're saying, where you need signups. But
yeah,
I have certain things that is like a calculator, like a depth of field calculator. Like you don't need to sign in if you don't want to. If you want to, go ahead. But so most people don't.
Yeah, it's
all right. So I have a question. Let's pose this to everybody, and I'm going to pose this to everyone. Or Chris, you want to share something real quick, and then I'll.
Yeah. I just wanted to show real quick which companies are going to do earnings this week. So you can see it's pretty heavy with the banks. So tomorrow you're seeing Morgan Stanley, Charles Schwab, Bank of America, right? PNC, which is a big regional, BNY Mellon. So all the financials are reporting this week. Discover. So if all these numbers come up positive, that just bodes really well for the banking sector in general. So you're going to see a run up in the banks, which I think because of JP Morgan's numbers that came out, I think the rest of the week we're going to see some positives on that. So yeah, like for me, I'm going to be most curious about Truist, which is the bank that I have a large position in. Key Bank, which is based in Cleveland, Ohio, and Bank of Ozark. Ozark has a lot of commercial exposure, so I want to see what the issues are with that. Same thing with Zion. Zion's out in the west. M&T Bank is here in the Northeast. So U.S. Bank, of course, is in Philadelphia, I think, or Pennsylvania. So, like I said, a lot of regionals are reporting this week. Even on Friday, there's some more regionals reporting. So, if there is weakness in the regionals, all of them are going to tank. But if there's no weakness and they all start hitting their cost-cutting measures and it reflects like well on their earnings, you're going to see a nice run up all the way this week. Even Goldman's reporting on Wednesday too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
Wednesday is going to be big.
Wednesday's
Netflix, Tesla, Goldman, United, IBM. Woo!
Well, somebody asked very early on, you want to go live, right? We can go live for.
Oh, yeah, we'll be doing Tesla earnings. So for those who are interested, I don't know if we're going to have a huge audience. Obviously, you got very big Tesla guys, but me and Carlos will definitely be there. Chris, we'll see if he can make it. Vitaly maybe can make it. He might be busy. So me and Carlos will be there, and we'll be breaking down Tesla earnings. And we'll be listening to Elon.
That's what I'm curious of. There's been a lot of Twitter spaces. I don't know if you've been listening. There's been a lot of Twitter spaces from all the big YouTube guys recently with some good information, good speculation. Cybertruck is going to be huge because this will be it. This is our last quarter before Cybertruck is launched. So next quarter we'll actually be talking about Cybertruck numbers. Can you believe that? Next quarter we'll be talking about the 500 Cybertrucks that they sold. That have been launched.
See, and that's funny. The narrative will be exactly that. Hey, they've only sold 500. They're failing. So like that's going to be the narrative. I'm telling you, that's what CNBC is going to push.
Sure. I mean, no matter what they say tomorrow in terms of what the numbers are, they're still going to be shit on because if they don't sell enough of them. Yeah. But it's kind of crazy to be in this position because we've been talking about this truck now since, like, I don't know about you, but even me, I'm a big Tesla bull. I was getting sick of seeing the Cybertruck sightings on Twitter. I'm sick of it now. Just release the damn truck already. Let's get it out in the world. Come on, guys.
So you're expecting him to say a date for when it's coming? What do you want him to say about the Cybertruck?
I don't think he would use an earnings call for that. I think he'll make it a much bigger event. So maybe like a week later, I think he'll let earnings week play out. Maybe next week, he'll announce something on Twitter and say the first Cybertruck deliveries will be this day. I'm assuming it's going to be a big event that's going to be in Austin. And I don't know if you guys know, but like Stephen Mark Ryan's moving to Austin now. Did you
really from Australia? That's crazy.
Well, he wasn't. Yeah, Australia. It was actually Farzad who he just like joked at him.
Listen, you need to be closer to your God. Okay,
right. So I think I don't know. Like I'm trying to start a rumor that he's going to join Tesla's board. But
am I wrong?
I believe, huh?
I said, am I wrong? I don't think.
No, I would move to Denver in a second. You know, I got places.
Is that where Allah is?
Oh my God.
It's Muhammad, dude. It's
Oh
Muhammad.
my
When
God, this Middle Eastern stuff. You guys are you're gonna get canceled, not me.
Oh boy.
Middle
Listen,
Eastern people are
I
so
joined the
sensitive.
Disney board. I'm allowed to do anything.
Okay, let me pose this question today. First of all, thank you 576 people for being here. We have not had
Whoa,
500.
where'd all these people come from?
We got to do a cowbell for that.
What's up?
We have not had 576, I
For a
think,
while.
in like a month. So
Yeah.
thank you all for
Well,
being
this,
here.
this shows you when people make some money, they're willing to watch
That's what it is.
content
Yeah, that's what
about
it is.
stocks.
Everybody's doing well. Everyone's
They're like,
doing
oh
well.
yeah, now it's time.
Just
So
in the
here's
chat,
question.
in the chat, thumbs up or down. Was your portfolio up or down today? Is everybody feeling good or what?
This is why they're here, man.
Dude, I
Okay,
have
so here's the
DPS. I have
Everybody's feeling good.
DPST. I have DPST, which is the triple long regional bank ETF, and that fucking's riding up really high. So yeah, I'm
Triple
good.
leveraged.
Yeah.
Hold on.
I was kind of bullish.
You have a triple leveraged regional
ETF.
bank ETF.
This guy went all in on banks.
This guy is
Yeah.
like regionals, bro. You put your money where
Bank,
your mouth is. when it
baby.
comes to regionals.
You're looking at
Look all
fucking.
thumbs up.
You're looking
Thumbs
at
up,
these.
arms.
Look,
People
these regional banks. They're trading at fucking multiples.
YOLO
that are in
baby
the
into
single digits.
regionals.
I didn't buy a lot. Okay, I didn't buy a lot. Only
20K. Nice.
yeah, so
I mean, I want the regionals to work out so well because I think you're the only person on the internet. That's an exaggeration, but you know what I mean. That has been saying buy the fucking regionals, and like you're gonna own that.
Look.
That's
First of all,
amazing.
okay, I just want to point out it's not hard to say the banks that have been smashed and we're not ending the world. They're going to go up.
Yeah, but no
It's
one was saying
obvious.
it. But no one was saying it.
It's obvious.
Uber
Well,
was
that's true.
obvious.
No,
but
that's
Travis
true.
executed on
Listen,
Uber.
Chris is definitely pushing the banks, but it's like it's ridiculous. If you look at any of these banks, by the way, I did look at the big ones all the time, like Citibank and Wells Fargo. I never looked at Truist, but they're like this. This is what they do all day fucking long. Okay, there's a time you buy them, there's a time you sell them. All day long.
What I think makes this really exceptional from Chris, honestly, as this plays out, is because some of these regionals got thrown in with the bathwater because of Silicon Valley Bank, and no one really said, "Hey, this is trading so below." All it has to do is not fuck up and just go. It doesn't have to grow. It just has to go back, and you can make.
That's why I bought the spreads, dude. That's why I got the spreads.
That's why I got the. Okay,
By
first
the
of all,
way, hold on. I just before you said, you guys know that I actually called FRC before it happened, right? Like I was posting on Twitter what was going to happen to FRC way ahead of time before.
I think I remember this. I think I do.
Yeah,
in March,
I picked
something like that.
Yep, and I remember because I got a message from our friend in California, the guy that works for a hedge fund. You remember Sebastian?
Oh, yes, I remember this. He
was like,
personally, yeah.
He's like, hey man, like I got my money in First Republic. Do I have to worry about anything? I was like, Sebastian, man, I don't know. Bro. I don't know. It was really like, trust me, it was really bad. I was freaking out too because they had gone really into some major issues. So just I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, this is great. All right, so we have 600 people here today. Thank you for 600.
A lot of people are up.
A lot of people are up. So here's my question to the entire chat and to you guys. All right, here's the question. You guys ready for this one?
No.
Is it time to buy ARK Innovation ETF? Does anyone think it is finally changing? Value is going to growth. Roku, Zoom, Teladoc, UiPath, Twilio. Some of these names might be in that deep. Kathy's been saying it for a while, but maybe it's finally her time. Do we see ARK going back to $100 over the next 2 years? Easy double in terms of having a growth allocation.
Can you zoom out? Can you zoom out? Like do a monthly chart or like a monthly chart and zoom out.
She's up 60. ARK is up 63% for the year. I don't know if you guys know that.
Wow. I mean,
they started
burned
really
a lot
low.
of investors.
The thing is, we don't know. This is what's tricky about an ETF like this is we don't know how much of that is just inflows, like people buying into the shares.
No.
Or the performance or her performance within them. This is what I always get.
No, it's not about the flows. It's not about the flows. It's not about the flows. I think this is more concerning about basically the actively managed part of her stuff is what weirds me out because on public she says like, oh, these are like we have 5-year targets, price targets for these companies. Yes, she's in and out of positions, right? Because this is an actively managed fund. That's the curious thing. Like today she sold Tesla. She sold some Tesla to buy like a few Meta shares, a few shares of, like, I was
But
looking at it.
But there's no conflict. There's no conflict of interest there. You can have a 5-year time horizon and still have to buy and sell out of them. We talked about this when we had Jeremy on. There's no
but the problem is, bro, she's liquidated the entire Spotify position, 700 million. She liquidated the entire Palantir position. So yeah, buying and selling out of them, that's fine. But when you get rid of an entire stock, it's like all that research you did goes out the window.
If she sees money, if she sees a better opportunity somewhere else that she could make money on, that's
it sounds very familiar to what Amit and Chris do.
I mean,
yeah, but we're not managing $40 billion.
But it's the idea of that money wants to grow where it grows. She might have like, for example,
you think Kathy Wood cares if Tesla it 10x's or freaking Coinbase? She don't give a shit. All right.
And if she
she cared, and that's 9% of ARK Innovation.
No, I'm saying if she felt Coinbase was a better bet, she would liquidate Tesla and put it.
She
in
would
Coinbase,
get out of it and 100%. Go in there, because if she feels that in the short term this is going to give her the returns, then that's where she's going to go. The other thing is, if she's made a bunch of money on Tesla, if she was buying Tesla at 200 and now it's at 280 something a couple of days before earnings, she kind of has a responsibility to lock in some of those profits and redeploy that capital somewhere else.
Here's the question. I think the essence of what Chris is saying is that, do you trust Kathy? Because yes, what you're saying, Carlos, is 100% correct. But when she's made, I guess you could call it mistakes with the NVIDIA and Spotify and Palantir and stuff, do you trust her to get excited for a stock and then put in hundreds of millions? Like Spotify was close to $1 billion position, and then take hundreds of millions of it lost because she changes her mind. Do you want someone like that, even if they see a better position, because the original position was so bad in terms of the research that they had to sell out? Can you trust her like that going into the bull market?
Dude, anyone that's investing, she's investing in innovation. So that's the risky part of it. You're not going to get it right every time. And you're only able to make decisions based on the available data. If the thesis changes, you've got to move. You don't want to go down with the ship. The other thing is, when she says she's got a 5-year time horizon, I think she's talking about her fund's performance. I don't think she's talking about any one individual stock. I think that's her saying is, if you invest in ARKK, we have a 5-year time horizon to give you a certain return. I don't think it means every stock she buys in 5 years.
No, that's on a per company basis. Like when she does her analysis, that's what she says. Like, we're not looking to buy a company today. We're looking to buy it 5 years from now.
She said that for Palantir. When Palantir was $29, she went on CNBC and said, 5 years, blah, 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 blah. But you're right, Carlos. That's what she's transitioning.
It doesn't mean that she won't buy back into it. Like, if you had a crystal ball, here's the thing. If you had a crystal ball and you knew that, like, say PayPal, Tesla, Palantir, and SOFI, those 4 stocks were going to 10x in 5 years. Let's just say you knew this, but on the way there, you knew what the ups and downs were going to be. You could amplify those returns to 50x if you would buy in and out of them at times that made sense, right? Or you could just hold. That's what I think she's trying to do, is amplify the returns that she thinks are already going to be there with a 5-year time horizon by buying and selling them out. The other thing is, she has certain rules about how big one position can be in any portfolio, that she has to respect that too. And if she gets an outsized amount of gains, she has to trim those positions.
But let's also take a step back, okay? She's disproportionately benefiting from a lot of the positions that, honest to God, are still very speculative. No matter how much you want to cut it, they're still speculative positions. As an example, Roku, which is one of her biggest positions right now, right? It's up 86% this year, but in terms of actual performance, let's take a look what it looks like.
Her average is almost like in the 200s on that one.
Yeah. Look at this. This is their thing. The revenue was flat year over year. Net income, $193 million loss. Diluted earnings per share down. Profit margin down. Burning cash, all there. So the question here goes, okay, if you're investing in innovative companies, you kind of want to see them grow, and also this stuff should actually be going
real quick. Look at the revenue growth. Look at the revenue growth for the last 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever. Besides just showing, because I don't think she cares about operating income, net income yet. She's just looking at how fast they're growing.
I think revenue growth is like 40%. It's flat.
It's flat.
No. You're kidding. There's no way revenue growth is flat. There's no way. There's no way.
This is their revenue growth right here. It's been flattened out.
For how many years? It's hard to tell right there. Is this
month? This is like on a. This is trailing. This is a trailing 12-month.
Okay, so that's
so
just
right
monthly.
Here. Yeah, no, not monthly. This is quarterly, but it goes back. So you can see right here, they generated on a 12-month trailing basis 3.1 billion, but in June of 2020. Well, let's do the same thing last year. Last year, they generated 2.9 billion.
So not much.
Trailing 12 month, not much growth. Because I mean, dude, what is Roku's real growth opportunity from here? More people buying Roku TVs, more people buying the dongles, you know, to
that's more of,
yeah, that's what it is.
That's more of the heart of my question. So
Yeah.
that's the heart of my question here. What stock out of all of these on the screen right now, if you had to say ARK is a winner in the next 2 years, what stock besides Tesla obviously carries the fund? What stock do you guys think carries the fund? These are the main stocks.
In the next, what's the time?
I see a lot of good ones actually.
In the next 3 years, which stock would you bet on brings the momentum back to ARK Innovation? Because I don't think it's Roku. I don't think it's DraftKings.
She has Tesla. That's going to bring.
No,
besides
Tesla. Besides Tesla.
Coinbase in the next bull run.
I think it's Coinbase. I think you have no idea what Coinbase is going to do. I'm telling you, once Bitcoin breaks all-time highs, what is Coinbase stock going to be at?
I see Unity. I see Shopify. I see a lot of good positions.
Unity, right? Unity.
Chris, which out of these are you the most bullish on, if any?
I'd say, well, when she was buying Meta, I was right there with her because it made a lot of sense, like from a value play. So Meta's probably the top one for me, and number 2 would probably be UiPath and Robinhood. UiPath I use at work, so I think it's a great product. It's awesome. Unity for sure is another one that could really do well, considering how much growth in VR we could see once Apple pushes into the sector and then Meta pushes it out. So I think what it is once the devices come on the market and more people use them, we could definitely see like Unity taking a much bigger role in that. So
it's not even that. You know, Unity is not only VR. It is anything visual that you need to do, or you need to model anything in from the real world. It is all of that, and that's everything. Yeah. Every company is going to have to use it.
Right, but
you
most
think,
people,
you think she has enough momentum
use of it right now? You know, that's the flagship use of it right now, or at least like the last time it was.
No, the flagship use of it right now is iOS games and Android games. That's the flagship use of it right now.
Yes, but it's not. But it's not something like it was part of the presentation on the the Vision Pro announcement that this is the official platform where everything that you see, or at least everything VR related, is going to be built.
Right,
that's a huge.
That's definitely a bull case, but I'm saying they're being used in everything. They're being used in engineering. They're being used for car people to model cars and put them in the real world.
That's already happening now.
Doing air simulation and model simulations of crash things. It's like everything is going to be used with Unity. That's what they're aiming for. Okay.
Can you bring up the $5 super chat?
Yeah, I was going to ask about this as well. But to end it off on ARK, give me one stock that you're bullish on over the next 3 years that carries it besides Tesla's. So if you had to pick just one, what is it?
I say Coinbase.
Coinbase, Vitaly, Coinbase for you?
I think Coinbase in 2024 will do extremely well, but I would say Unity is probably going to be her big winner.
Okay, and Chris, you on Path. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Let's answer this one quickly, and then I have another really good question to get into. This is the first one.
We did that one already.
$5. Thank you. Whose records? Chris play, but Vitaly stock Monopoly. Thoughts on GPRO? $668 million market cap, $500 million. I think you meant EVID. Oh, enterprise value trading at 4x 2021.
Is this GoPro?
GoPro? Yeah.
Oh, do not buy GoPro. That is a piece of junk.
Bro, I bought
There's a community that's actually bullish on GoPro.
They're wrong. Yeah, that community is wrong.
Community doesn't matter. I bought this stock like when I got I forgot what it was, like a couple of the Hero cameras before. They're amazing freaking cameras. But you know what? The stock did nothing. Bring up a chart on that thing. It did absolutely nothing. Look at the CEO was actually on Shark Tank for a while. You remember that? The CEO of he was on Shark Tank for a while, and I was like, man, this company is going to do really well. The stock did nothing. And basically now everything is like, Insta360. I think they're, I see more of that than GoPro.
Holy crap. Look at this thing.
I think
I held it all those years.
You're mixing up once again stock and company. The company did nothing. They tried to do a network of adventure, and that's what sucked up all their money. Yeah. Instead of doing what Wise, the camera people who do all the home IT stuff, whatever, all the cameras, the locks, the doors. If they went that direction, it would have been amazing. But they didn't. Instead, it's down
50% this year.
No, it's such.
They
it's
went
a-
some
look,
silly
it's- it
direction
has
to be a
never-
media company.
Yeah, they were trying.
Really, they wanted to do media.
Well, they had an app where they had an app where basically you would take like your short GoPro clips and you could upload it there, and it would be like shared on social, so you could share these like little clips. And I think they just had a different idea of what they were going to be able to do. And they had what's his name, Baumgarten, when he jumped off of remember when he did that skydive from the edge of space? It was like a GoPro. Red Bull has their cameras everywhere. It wasn't a big enough thing. Whatever, it's sports on the esports or the X Games. They're great products, but the company is crap. And I think a lot of it is just the way that they're marketing it. I just don't understand. I don't understand because now I have some of them on my drum kit I used to record now, but I won't buy another GoPro anymore. I'm buying only those Insta360 cameras. They're roughly the same price. They record 360, so I don't even have to worry about framing. They have all the same mounts as like GoPros. There's no reason to buy a GoPro anymore as a product, I'm saying. And they did have good products, but
also a lot of the Chinese competitors are really fucking good. Like DJI has amazing
drones,
stuff.
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
so
they actually have a GoPro competitor. DJI actually has a real GoPro competitor and similar priced.
Yeah, and that's the key, right? If GoPro was smart, they would have gone into the drone market much sooner.
Yes,
because
exactly.
their whole moat was around adventure, like doing adventurous things, but basically recording yourself doing those adventurous things. The Chinese competitors like DJI recognized that. So what they did is they took the same technology that was in the GoPros, reverse engineered it, put it into like stabilized cameras in a form fitting that's really small, that has a long battery life with a long
it's not only that they missed a bigger market. Everybody decided during this time, while GoPro owned the little camera market, everybody decided to put 1 billion cameras in their houses, and they didn't benefit at all from that. Are you crazy?
If they would have had a doorbell or a GoPro doorbell cam,
like all of that shit.
But it wasn't sexy. They were trying to be a lifestyle brand. They were trying to be cool, like Red Bull
media lifestyle. So
just push
total shit, total stupid.
Products. See, the other thing about GoPro
do not
is
invest in GoPro, no matter what it does.
I wouldn't recommend that. And we don't usually give financial advice.
But do not invest in GoPro.
The one piece of advice is don't buy that company.
GoPro, the last comment on GoPro, then we'll get to this more deeper question. GoPro's for POV, right? Like you put it on your thing and you can see the POV of the person.
No, you can get a stick for it.
But like most people I know on YouTube are using it as like POV.
Yeah,
you put a helmet cam on a bike when you're riding a bike.
Right.
By the way, I have GoPros. I'm sure Carlos has. We use GoPros.
Yeah, we use them.
The problem is, once again, the company itself pivoted the wrong way. That's it.
Yeah, my thing was going to be like, there's only one type of POV I know a lot of people are watching, and I don't think.
Oh God, I know where you're going.
I don't think they use GoPros for that.
We use VR for that now.
I don't know. We use VR for that. Meta Quest, baby. Buy some Quest.
You know, next time you come over, I'm gonna put you in the bathroom and give you some lotion, give you the Quest, and then you're not coming out for like an hour, dude.
Vitaly, you just said this in front of 670 people.
Sponsored by Kleenex.
Listen, you come here for this, okay? This is all I'm saying.
Gosh, I love it. Okay, here's the big question I got on Twitter DMs today. So for 670 people, I would love your comments in the chat as well. I think it's a really good question. This is a
700.
This is a follow of the podcast, loves the podcast, and he's done really well in this market, like really well. Okay, so here was his question. How do you go about telling friends and family about your wealth? Who to tell, who not to tell? Do you tell your significant other? This is something I struggle with because I hit 6 figures in stocks at 21 years old. It's not normal, and I'm scared to tell people. I'm curious of your thoughts.
All right.
Don't tell anyone.
First of all,
don't tell anyone.
This is Wong. I know.
No, it's not Wong. It's not Wong. No, it's not Wong.
It's not Wong.
Yeah, he's a trader. He's losing.
He's a trader. TRAI.
Get off of that, Vitaly. Get off of that. Just because your system's not the only one.
You don't need to respond to everything I say. By the way, thank you. Okay, go ahead, Carlos.
Let's take a step. I think you three will have good answers. Let's start with Chris, then Carlos, then Vitaly. Chris, go ahead.
I would say don't tell anyone anything that you have gained. There's no point, because if anything that breeds jealousy, you get nothing from it. The best thing to do is just live the life exactly the way you are, knowing that, you have this ace up your sleeve, because that will give you confidence. That will give you the ability to basically sleep well at night. That is the ultimate goal for most people, or at least that should be the goal. So basically you have this money that's sitting in the back that no one really knows about, that gives you this nice comfort that you can just go to sleep at any time. No matter what problem in life comes your way, you have the ability to beat that problem down, because you have an instrument called financial independence, money that can get you there. The worst thing you could do is go out there and tell people like, yeah, I have all this money. And now people are going to look at you in a different way. Family members are going to look at you in a different way. Some people are going to try to, game the system by saying, hey, I'm having this tough time. And if you don't help, and if you don't help that woe is me thing, bro, then they'll hate you for it. So
can you tell your parents too? Can you tell your parents or no?
I would say no. Why? You could help your parents when you can, but you don't have to go out there. Hey, Dad, guess what? I made more money than you. You worked your entire life, and I have more money than you. Ha ha ha! Like no, like my parents, my dad. I speak to him about like finances and stuff. Like we tell him like, hey, Dad, I'm probably buying some SLG and stuff. It's got good, but he doesn't know exactly how much I have. He doesn't know exactly what my portfolio looks like. To some degree, my wife doesn't even know everything. Sometimes she grabs my phone, tries to look. I'm like, nope. No,
really. So your advice is keep it as a financial weapon of your own, keep getting better at it, but don't go telling the world that you have this money because there's nothing good that comes out of it.
Yeah, okay, you never know. You could lose it all, and then they'll all laugh at you too. Be like, look at this guy. He used to be somebody, now he's a nobody. I'd rather be known to be a nobody forever.
Carlos, your thoughts?
Okay, this might sound mean, but like $100,000 is not a lot of money. Like you're not rich.
Okay, for a 21-year-old,
no,
for a 21-year-old.
Wrong.
Hold on.
Wrong.
This is my take. It's not a lot of money. It's actually pretty easy to make $100,000. Actually, very easy to make $100,000. But can you make it 4, 5, 6 times in a row and maintain those?
For a 21-year-old, bro, to make $100,000 is
in
not
the market that
easy.
we're in. Are you kidding me? You could.
Wait. Hold on. You had 100,000 at 21 sitting in your account.
At 21 years old, how much did I have? I don't know how much.
You had student debt, bro.
I graduated from.
I did have student debt
in college. I was negative.
I'm trying to think about what year that would have been. If I didn't have 100,000, I probably had really close to it. Yeah, I'm sorry. This is why I'm saying it's gonna sound fucked up, but like people go out and think they'd have $100,000, especially with inflation. It's not that much money, so it's not something to even feel like, oh my god, you haven't won the lotto. For me, I would say when you have $500,000. That's when you should start really thinking about, okay, when you start really thinking about a multiple, here's why, because you could earn $100,000 a year in, just go get a degree and say an engineering job and you can be making $100,000 a year. That's still someone's like,
that's not even the question, by the way.
The question
is, does he tell his family? That's the question.
My point is he's acting like he won $1 million. Do I tell my family? My point is to bring it to perspective and say, it's not that much money. Relax. Okay. It's not like it's going to be life-changing. No one's going to look at you and think that it's any different. I think when you make that.
No, I get your point, Carlos, but if his dad is like a blue-collar job, your son at 21 fucking this guy's up 900% on a meta call. He took 1,000 and turned it into 12.
Meta, woo,
wait,
like that type of money, and it's because of Chris. It's because of Chris
boy,
what a smart fucker right there. What's his name?
No, I don't want to say his name, but he showed me some screenshots.
He took 10,000 and turned it into.
He took 1,000 and turned it into 12,000 on one call. He had a $200 call on Meta, and he bought it in December. So like. That's
Jeremy.
What's up, Jeremy?
On here.
Palantir to zero, Jeremy.
This is what I'm saying.
Well, Jeremy, we'll answer this question right after. Thank you for the super chat. So my point is $100,000, like a kid seeing a 900% gain, and that's a lot of money for a kid. I get your point.
But I'm not finished making my point before you jump. That's why I said it's not a popular take. But you can make 1 or 2 good bets with $1,000 or up to $10,000 and 10x that. And you can make the $100,000. It's can you sustain those gains? And it's also think about the market that we're in. We're in a market where it's pretty clear what the winners are, like which are the ones that are going to perform well. I mean, talk to me if you're making this money in 2021 when everything was shit. You understand what I'm saying? Like we're in a market that's easier to make money. And we're talking about a relatively small amount of money, and the spending power of $100,000 doesn't go as far as it used to. So that's why I say when it's $500,000, then you got to start saying, holy shit, like I've made more money than like a doctor or, it was going to make in a year. Like that's when you start saying, holy shit.
Okay.
I really started making some money. That's why I'm like, bring it back down to earth and say, just keep doing what you're doing. There's nothing to tell anybody. I know.
Carlos like, shut the fuck up, you poor boy.
It's finally good when I get to say the positive thing. Congratulations. 100,000 is just to give you some context what 100,000 is. You can buy your own house. No joke. You can put down 5%. You can buy 4 houses with 100,000. No joke. I'm not even fucking around. My first house, I put down I think it was a $200,000 house. I put down 5%, so that was $10,000, and I split it with another guy, so $5,000 each. So 100,000 is a lot of money even now. You can actually buy a property. You can invest in a lot of things. You can get dividends. You can do so many things that's crazy with 100 grand. And you can turn 100 grand into $1 million. That's where it starts.
Since
Okay,
then we're peasants.
So
yeah.
first of all, that's what's important to understand. Congratulations, and you got Meta. You're a genius. So I'm really proud of you.
If
Step
he sells-
900%
if he
on
sells,
Meta.
if he
Step
sells
two-
that, he sells that 100,000 right now, 20,000's gone to taxes. Okay,
Just
then
like
you have
he has
80,000.
to
You're
Okay.
missing the essence of the accomplishment.
you're totally missing
worried
the
too much
essence.
about the
And
No,
step
but the thing
numbers.
is, hold on.
Step
the thing is,
two,
I'm
100,000,
not
by the way, when I was 21 years old, if I told my parents I made 100,000 on a house, which I made actually at 24, not 22, when I sold a house and made 150 grand, my parents are fucking impressed when I did that. That was like a year and a half of work for me. This guy maybe did it faster, but it's fucking impressive. And on top of it, I don't think he should start telling everybody. But if he told, just his parents and that kind of stuff, I wouldn't be telling friends and stuff. 100 grand at 21 is a lot of money. Still to this day, I still don't know many 21-year-olds that I work with right now. They do not have this money. So do not go around telling everybody about it. Please keep it to yourself and learn how to grow it without gambling. Okay, so don't just go do more calls on some shitty stocks. Don't do that.
The one thing that I would recommend is if you have that kind of gain, take some of it and give it to your parents. Not a lot, but give some of it to your parents, because I'm sure at that point it'll be something that, especially if your parents are struggling and they're just getting to the point where they need some financial freedom. Because if you're 21, that means that they really put in a lot of money to get you there, right? So to get something back from the kid at such a young age, bro, that shit will blow their mind, and it'll be something that gives you way more in terms of reward. That's what I've done. Like, since I was younger, I'd be like, hey mom, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. She's been retired for a while. Like, was like, here you go, mom. Thank you for always keeping a lookout. Like, whenever we go out, I'll pay for the groceries, or I'll do dinner, and I'll pay for it. I won't let my parents do it, because I'm like, look, you guys did all the paying from young age to all this way. Sometimes it's kind of my job to like step up a little bit. And I think that's what gives every parent this fucking immense confidence that, trust me, you will never get that kind of feeling that, hey, I'm actually the caretaker of my parents now. So,
when my mom actually, real quick, my mom actually asked me this when I started my business and when I was in college and I was making a little bit of money. My mom was like, my mom literally interrogated. She sent me. She was like, are you selling drugs? Because I didn't have to borrow money from my parents for like the last 3 years of college. I was paying for everything. They're like, are you selling drugs? I was like, no, mom, I started a business.
And I wouldn't tell you.
I started a business selling drugs.
We go underground,
importing the drugs, and then someone else sells them.
And someone else sells the drug. But like, she couldn't believe it. And so I agree with Chris. Like, buy your mom an Apple Watch. Take $500 out of that 100 grand and just like give them a gift just for saying thank you. It'll make you feel good as well. And go buy them a Quest 3. Buy a Quest 3. And the number one thing is, I think after you cash out a position where you make significantly more amount of money, buy someone a meal. And that someone should be likely someone who's underprivileged, someone who's homeless.
Basically, Vitaly's been buying Amit fucking dinners at Cheesecake Factory.
Buy some a homeless startup founder.
Amit is my charity case.
Do something good.
Hold on. After those TFC calls, he's not your charity case. From now on, Amit is paying for fucking every dinner for all of us.
Yeah,
that's what he's doing.
I'll be happy to. No, that my mom told me like if you make any money,
I think you're giving some bad advice.
No, real quick. Last thing. My mom said, if you make any money in life, anything substantial, take 0.0% of that, $50 out of a $10,000 gain, and go do something nice for someone. It's just good to put some good energy out into the world.
That's true. But the first thing, he doesn't need to spend money on expensive gifts for somebody. It's better just to talk to your family about what you're doing and try to get good advice. Unless you have a bad relationship with your parents. Some people have that, so it's probably not wise to go to those people. But if you have a good relationship, you can be honest with your parents, I feel, about 100 grand. But at different stages, yes, as soon as you make $1 million, $2 million, then it becomes a little bit harder to discuss with middle-class people about that kind of money. So then it's no use to talk to them about that point.
Okay, Carlos, go ahead. I know you've been
when I first started making money, I tried talking to my parents, or my mom, really, because my dad, and it didn't go well. I mean, it didn't go.
What happened? What? Recreate the conversation. So I'm your mom right now. Okay, you're telling me. Go ahead. Talk to me.
I told her from the sense.
Talk to me. Talk to me. Reenact it. Talk to me.
No, I mean, no,
mom,
no, because
mom.
No,
go ahead.
I'm not going to talk to you like I would my mom. That would be just weird.
Mommy.
But
mommy, stepmommy.
when I tried explaining to her like what I was doing, that I was making good money at my job, and I was taking the advice of my aunt, which was to invest some money, it didn't go well because she had the whole thing like, it could always go down. You know, you don't know what you're doing. You could lose everything. Don't make the same mistakes that we did, blah, 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 blah. It didn't go well. And so for a long time, this was a source of like negativity and like cynicism from my mom. When I would tell some of my friends, that didn't go over well either, because number one, it created an outsized pressure on me to pay for things that were normally split. Like if we wanted to do a camping trip, or if we wanted to go to a concert or something like that, because we all didn't really have much money. We were in our early 20s. So it put some pressure on that. And the ones that I would try to get to invest, they felt, what's the word? Like they felt intimidated by something like the markets. They felt like it was a way of trying to hold over, like you're trying to say that you're smarter than them, or like, well, just because it worked for you, it doesn't mean it's going to work for me. I don't have the same kind of money. I don't have the same kind of patience. It really started to drive a wedge. I go back to something that I heard. We've talked about this a few times. What's his name? Dave Ramsey said that as you start climbing up that ladder of success, you're going to lose people along the way. And by the time you get to like reach your goal, say whatever your goal is, say $1 million, right? Or $2 million, you're going to lose 80% of the people that you've ever been in touch with. I never really understood what that is, but it's true, because it's a very difficult discussion to have with people, except when they're on your level, or at least they're on the same path. And those people are very few and far between. That's why I had to go on the internet to meet people, or Twitter to meet people that that share the same interest. And so in general, I say, don't tell anyone anything, Yeah.
For me, I was blessed to have a brother who did the struggle with me, like growing up. So the thing is, the optionality of having that kind of money, like we always applied this thing with like, it's something called the sword and shield approach to things. So basically there are times where someone needs to be on the aggressive side in terms of like investing in something, while the other person works to get to a higher point. So as an example, I had just gotten back from the military. I got all my bonus money, plus I got money from deployment, and I got all this BAH money that I had. So I had a good chunk of money, probably close to what the gentleman there just had. Now my brother, he had worked his entire life at Chrysler. He just got laid off from one of the Chrysler dealerships. And, being brown, you had the inside connections on gas stations and liquor stores and everything else. So one of my uncles was like, hey, listen, I have this gas station. The business owner wants to leave, and the business is not doing really well. But if you could turn it around, it'd be really great. And my brother, literally, he drove overnight from Pennsylvania to Savannah, Georgia. And, he got working on the store. And now my uncle's like, listen, I want to give this business to you, but it's going to cost you like about $100,000 plus inventory and everything else. Now my brother did not have the capital to do that. So what does he do? He calls me up and says, hey man, like I'm in a bind. What can I do? Bro, it didn't take me more than half a second to basically shell that money. I said, where do you need me to send that wire to, and get the shit done? Now my brother makes the same equivalent amount per year in cash. All right. And so now if I ever needed that boost, like, hey, listen, I need $100,000 in liquidity, instantly he could deploy it. Same thing with and so right now, me and him, we go back and forth with our investing, and we help each other out, because that is essentially
how many.
I only have one brother. I only have one brother. But like I said, we boosted each other up to the point where now the other person can go a little bit extra hard. So right now he's sitting in a really good place in terms of finance. We paid off our parents' house. We paid off his house. My thing is all paid off. So it's like we have built wealth between the two of us, and that's the thing, that's one of those things that you should really develop, is some core people around you that have the same kind of mindset that you really, really like trust, and then be able to build businesses with. Because if you try to build a business by yourself, it's fucking hard, man. But if you have some support structures around you that, number one, have some liquidity, and two, they have some personal relationship with you that basically will make sure that they don't dick you over, bro, that's like the recipe for Indian people's success. Just ask any Indian person. I'm telling you, that is one of our key successes to business ownership, that we have the availability to go into our family environment and be able to generate that liquidity. And it's the same thing with Jewish people as well.
Hell yeah.
Jewish people, they have connections.
So
Chinese people.
I'm going to riff off of that. I get what Carlos is coming from, because we grew up in a similar area situation where, look, a lot of people didn't have a lot of money, so you couldn't really talk to those people about money because their mentality is all fucked up. So you can't really fix them. But I did go to my parents, by the way, when I was investing in real estate, and I did not have a lot of capital in the beginning. And I said, look, I'm buying this house. I'm going to work it out. I need from you whatever you can give. Okay. I was trying to raise $500,000 in cash. I had nothing, basically. I couldn't afford it. They said, okay, well, we can take a loan and we can give you $75,000. They didn't even find out the details of the house. They were like,
who
they
gave
just
you the loan?
believed.
Who?
My parents.
Oh, your parents. Okay. Gotcha.
We can take this out. And then I went on a trip. So, a trip around the block, finding all the Russian Jews.
You told me the story. Yeah.
Finding whoever believed in the story that I can do this. And I did it once before. So I'm like, this is the second one. I've talked to them about that, but my parents just gave the money, not understanding anything, not thinking I would even make it, why am I doing this? Why am I buying in these bad neighborhoods and fixing houses and putting, like, they just didn't understand any of it, but they supported it. So that's why you have to know your audience at the end of the day. So if you're going to people that you know are not going to support you, obviously don't go to them. I agree with you there, Carlos. But if you do know that you can actually talk to somebody, a brother, a mother, a father, whatever, they want to help you. So not talking to them, I think, is a real problem. You have to be able to talk to these people.
In my situation, my parents did not have any assets. They didn't have any assets. My father barely spoke any English. He was in mostly a cash business, and all they knew how to do was run up credit cards. I think I told you guys the story that every El Monte in our family had one massive fuck up financially that basically ruined them. And I know what my dad's was, and I might tell the story sometime. But the point is, I grew up in a neighborhood that was really like, we had a lot of Spanish, we had a lot of there's a lot of Russians, and there was a lot of like Indians there. And so it was basically like, you'd see all the Indians, like you were saying, they would get together, like, the Middle Eastern people would get together and they would work together, and they would have like the shoe store and then like the bodega or whatever it was. And you see the Russians, they get together and have all like the medical facilities. Anytime that I would try to work that with some of the people from my own community, it never worked. There was always this sense of, when I was growing up in that community, that in order for me to get ahead, I have to take something from the other guy. There was never that sense of, let's work together like these other communities are. I never found that. I was never able to find that. And like, neither was my dad. And so it just never worked out. The idea of being able to build that sort of community, it just never worked out. It always ended up like, if I did talk to people about what I was trying to do, like even when I started my first business at like 21 years old, the time when I started my business, I would tell people what I'm doing, and they would just be like, "What do you think? You're better than us?" Or, it's like,
it's Carlos.
No, I'm trying to get out of this freaking neighborhood.
I that's the fucking thing that I saw among other communities also, and this crab mentality. Anyone if you got good grades, it was like, yo, look at smart boy over here.
Exactly.
He's gonna go to college.
You'd get made fun of.
It's stupid, man. I hate that. That is one of the reasons why certain communities and cultures, they never get higher than a certain position, because the minute one person steps to a higher degree, it's like, oh, look at this guy over here, Mr. Important, and the guy's nothing. Like, he's done nothing to you. But that's how jealousy is, man. And it's
jealousy is part of it. That's the thing. But as we move through, and Carlos, we know that, right? That's I can't tell my own cousin about exactly what's going on. Like, he's like, he comes to my house. He's like, you got 2 Teslas? When did this happen? Like, so he doesn't understand that because he's never thought about the future. Like we talked about in a previous podcast. He doesn't think when he's 65 what he's going to do. He lives in the moment. So those people are always going to exist, but not to talk to the ones who, or try to find the ones that understand. I think it's silly too, because then you're missing an opportunity. Luckily, we have this podcast. There's a million people here discussing all day long, but I'm saying the close circle around you, there's still people I think that are there. They're harder to reach because if we are closed off to them, we're never going to reach them. Right.
I just find that I have to do that stuff sort of on the sly. Like when I made some good bets, like early on, I just kept saying to my mom, like, please just invest something, anything. And the only way that it worked, and I think we talked about this a bit, was I said, I'll guarantee the money. So give me, say, $1,000. I'll guarantee it. If we lose everything, I'll give you back the $1,000. And she'd let me take some of the money and invest it. And then she would ask me for it in 6 months. And I would say no. She'd ask me for again in 6 months. And I would say no. And then if she forced me to give her the money, I would just give her the money. I wouldn't sell her stocks. So I just keep it there on the side. And like part of my own investment, my own retirement strategy is to be able to just one day say to her, hey, whenever you're done, working, just come out to LA and you can come live with us. And I've kind of hinted it at her. And there's a part of her that's kind of stubborn, that doesn't want that. But I know that that's where it's eventually going. Like out of all the kids in the family, I know that I'm the one that'll have to take care of her at a certain point.
She'll have no choice at the end
She'll
of
have
the day.
no choice. She'll have no choice.
But what I'm saying is the mom might have not been the one to talk to. That's what I'm saying.
I think the conclusion here,
like...
the conclusion here that I'm getting from all you guys is, you don't have to tell family, but you have to look for people that are a little bit more like-minded. Like Chris, thankfully he had his brother, but if that guy who has 100,000, if that guy who has 100,000, if he could find someone that he really fucking trusts, that is also as driven, building together, even if they're not blood related, might be an opportunity, and that might be a better person to tell than your parents potentially.
Coming from the guy who basically milked me and Vitaly out of what? How much for Audia? Yo, you better
grand.
work that ass off when you get off of this podcast. Get your ass to work.
Well, that's why we got 3 super chats. I got a meeting in 20 minutes, so we got to get to these super chats.
Well, just so I want to say one last thing because it is important. So I didn't find the person who I found, which was funny, was not my own friends when I bought the very first house and partnered up. It was my brother's friend. And my brother was the one that said, hey, this guy's also interested. He discusses houses with me. I don't give a shit. I hear you talking about houses all the time. Why don't you guys talk? And we talked and we're like, hey, do you want to go take a drive to Jersey City? you want to see what's out there? Like literally, that's how it started. And it wasn't any sort of big plan, but that's how it works. You got to open your.
I have no one in my life other than you guys. No one to talk about this stuff with. My mom, my sister did it. My sister, I think I told you guys the story. When I was buying my SoFi calls, I told my sister to go to the bank and deposit $12,000 into my account. I'm buying her the SoFi calls. She is up a lot more than 12 grand right now. And every day I go to her, I'm like, yo, so the interest rates are down. So this is what Anthony noticed. He's like, okay. I'm like, you're up almost 18 grand. You don't care about the CEO of the fucking company I bought. She's like, just make sure I make more money. Nope. She doesn't care. I'm like, you're up more.
In fact, you should be smart with her money and just pull out her original 12 grand and give it back.
I agree with Vitaly.
That's idiotic that you're letting this rock.
Yes.
Well, if
but they're really, we got them really cheap. We got them when it was $4.
No, it don't matter.
If it's her first, if nothing will ruin her for
you will ruin her
if she loses on that first one. I mean, I'm not to say you have to sell it now, but the idea is if you're trying to instill a habit in her where she wants to do this herself, then you've got to limit it.
Take out her initial 12K. You guys think?
Dude, because mentally she is not prepared to lose even $1. Okay?
Or just be comfortable securing it for her.
Not to mention, you will get the optionality to hold your SoFi calls forever and never have to worry. Like right now, it's still in the back of your head. Oh, what if this doesn't work out? It'll go down. Once you give her back her initial outlay and you're just letting the money that's riding the house's money,
that's actually a good idea.
She doesn't give a shit and you won't give a shit because now you have this.
You already did your job.
Yes, exactly.
In fact, you should give her 12,500 and say like, there's your profit. Okay.
Yeah.
And plus interest.
No. Go treat yourself. Go to a nice dinner. And then the rest is riding, baby.
Thanks for believing me, sis. You know, if there's another opportunity that comes my way, I'll definitely bring it up to you. The other money is just sitting in the account. Let it grow, and then if it hits another double, bro, take some of that money and be like, here you go. Here's another investment amount. So this
you give her 12,000 back and you'd be like, yo, let's talk about a company called Robinhood.
Because this is the first time I was like, Didi, because in Hindi we call her Big. I was like, Didi, just trust me on this. Just give me the money. I'm telling you, this is gonna work. And
she listened.
No, she didn't take 5 seconds because I have a relationship with her like Chris does with her brother. And my sister's not entrepreneurial, but she trusts me, right? We love each other.
Then don't ruin the trust. That's it.
Yeah,
that's a good idea. It's a good idea.
Yeah, Jeremy said the same thing on the chat. See, Jeremy.
Okay, all right, we got to get to super chat. So let me quickly do Jeremy's $20 after earnings a bit. I actually think it's possible if customer count goes up. I do think they're sandbagging revenue, and I think revenue is going to be okay. I think we can get a spike to 20. Chris disagrees. Chris thinks it's going to not be the best. So I think it is very possible. But if customer count shits the bed, it's not possible. We're going to go back to 14.
What would the market cap be at $20?
Y'all are all expecting Beyonce to show up on your Tinder date.
And bro. I would say right now, Jeremy, sell all the Palantir, buy some PayPal calls. More of them.
Yeah, I agree with Tally. Which like doesn't happen often, but I do. All of the Palantir people are expecting Beyonce to show up.
Not all. I've been very conservative. I've been conservative for earnings.
And all you're getting is carp. And all you're getting is carp.
If customer count grows up and we bleed on revenue, maybe the market's excited. But if we don't for either of those, and the EPS is not as good as what the market, then it's back down to 12.
When is that? When are Palantir's
It's
earnings?
August 7th after
yeah.
hours, live streaming on this channel, baby. Chris will be
You got
there.
a while to wait.
So we're gonna.
All they really need is not to fuck up the S&P inclusion. If they fuck that up, they're
not gonna
fuck on the stock.
Yeah, they'll be fine on that. Okay, quick. So we got 15 minutes. Brett Gardner says, in general, as a rule, do you guys oppose buying at IPO? Are you guys buying TJ Rogers' company, Complete Solera?
Never buy at IPO. Bottom line, do not do it.
Never.
Wait for the business to be established, a couple of quarters to happen for you to see what's going on. I bought too many IPOs and have fucked up every single one.
Me too.
Not to mention, Complete Solera is not coming out as IPO. It's going to do a reverse SPAC, right?
Yeah. Do not do it. It's not worth it.
We're back to reverse SPACs. That's what we're doing now.
Yeah. Do not chase. They're coming back. The bull market's back, baby. They're coming back.
Okay.
Do not chase any of this shit.
No.
Jackalope, what made you pick Enovix over Amprius? Feeling major FOMO on Enovix. Thank you, Jackalope.
Well, let me say one thing. Enovix has a product they're actually literally making it right now, even if it's like 8 of them. Okay. Amprius doesn't have any product. They're not making shit.
Some money, yeah.
No, Amprius has nothing. They're
Enovix is making money. They're spending more than they make, but they are getting paid to sell devices.
They're actually making some batteries. They're coming out. They have a real plan in place. Things are happening. Things are moving. TJ Rogers is part of it. Amprius, once again, good idea, good battery, but there's no actual execution of it. So let's see what happens.
I'm riding on the fucking bear. Usually the bear sentiment. When a Wall Street bear becomes a bull on a company, it's definitely worth watching. Like,
well, I haven't sold yet.
Yeah.
I haven't sold anything yet, but at 25, I don't know. I might be taking a little bit.
Really?
Mark?
I'm taking a little
bit. I might
bit.
end up doing the same. I might do the same as you, Vitaly. Just let me know, man. The thing is, like, every time I'm on the Twitter Spaces with Mark Cahodes, oh my god, this guy just
who is this guy? Who is this guy? For those who don't know, who is this guy?
He makes you feel
he's a
like
short
you don't
seller.
have enough.
He's a short seller,
dude. He's a short seller. And if you heard what he was saying about Enovix, he's got so many shares, and you're like, this is insane. He was one of the people combating the short seller report.
And he's a short seller.
Okay. Someone put Amprius sold 10,000 batteries. You're not talking about the new one with the watt hour per kilogram that is like 500 watt hours per kilogram. They did not sell 10,000 of those batteries. That did not happen. Okay. Give me the article. Let me read it, and then we'll talk about it tomorrow if that is true.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
We got one more from Scott. Can I get an opinion on the $2,000 call option I bought today for PayPal expiring December? Strike price 72.
So you spent $2,000 and you need an opinion on it?
Wait, he spent $2,000 in call options. Call options expiring 2025. Strike price of $72. Thumbs up.
Was that for one call option or no? There had to be for multiple.
No. He might have been one call option.
It might have been one. Wait, let's check right now. Yeah, let's check. Those leaps can get very expensive. That's why the spreads.
That was one. Really?
Scott, you paid too much, man. You should. I was about to post this.
Strike price of $72. But what was?
Hey, no financial advice for Scott's call.
Yeah, but you have to know what's the price. What is?
No, I'm checking right now. Give me a second.
100.
No. He got one call. Because it's right now the call contract is at $22.
Yes. Okay, that makes sense.
$22. So it's break even.
Over 100. It needs to be over.
That's fine. The break even is $94. But the thing is, this is all the way to December 2025, which is fine.
I think he's fine.
Yeah, he's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
I did something similar. This was a month ago, but I bought a $50 strike, a bunch of them. $50 strike. I did pay a little bit of premium for that. Obviously, he was trading at 66 or something. I forgot, a month ago. And to me, it was worth it because I do think PayPal is going to be over $80 or whatever.
So I bought the January 2025 calls. Basically, the reason why is because there's way more liquidity in the January leap call than there is in the December one.
What do you mean by that? Can you explain liquidity? What does that mean?
Okay, so which means that there are certain strikes that are out there that have way more open interest in terms of like people buying and selling, right? So if you have, and this goes not only for a company, but it goes into certain strikes. So if you're looking at like a weekly option has way less people buying and selling that position. Whereas if you're looking at a monthly, you have more people. Usually for like something that's a leap, the furthest out leap that's out there, that's usually a January, is the most heavily traded in and out. The December one is not as well traded. So the thing is, in terms of like bid and ask price, it's sometimes a little bit too far apart. So what ends up happening is when you make the trade, when you're putting it in, you should never do market orders on options, by the way. Just one of the best advices that I could give to anybody is do not do market price on options, okay? Because you will get fucked over, especially if it's a very thinly traded option.
Always limit.
Execute. Always use limits, always, so that this way you're getting at least somewhat of a decent price. So so just FYI. The other thing is the January 2026 calls are coming out in September, which are going to be a lot more heavily traded. The good thing is, if you're looking at like from a market sentiment right now, there is a lot of retail interest in PayPal, which means that especially at the higher strikes, you're actually getting a huge premium. So this is where the spreads come in, and I'll explain this probably on one of my Patreon calls. So,
And guys, if you haven't joined Chris's Patreon, please join it. I think he has 3 tiers
really
as well.
Appreciate it.
Just like Freelancer Finance has also a Patreon. Well, we're all cheap. We're all around $5. Easy to fuck us, right?
Yeah.
So
look at what Andrew. Look at what Andrew put, man. He's like, so true, Chris. Everyone listen up in the chat got screwed over. Yeah, this is one of those things, guys. You just live and you learn, right? You should really rarely ever do market orders unless it's a very, very heavily traded security, which you're going to get a good price. Because if it's a few cents here and there, it's not going to matter. If you're talking about Google, by all means, go ahead, do a market order on Google. Not going to make a difference. Enovix, don't do that. You might end up paying 30, 40 cents higher because it's not traded as often.
I would start at the bid, enter it, and if it didn't take, move it up 5 cents, re-enter.
Yes,
that's exactly what I do. That's what I do.
Keep moving it up, and sometimes you gotta be aggressive with it. Like say, no, I'm not, and just keep entering it again, and you might even get you'll get some if you have like 10 contracts, you might get a couple at that.
Someone said market order selling calls. No. Same problem, because what you're gonna get is someone that pays really shit for the ability to jack those shares from you from you. So they'll end up getting a huge discount. Never do market orders on sells either. Always use
honestly, you should never do market orders on anything. Even if the limit is like 5 cents above the current price, at least you know what you're paying. Okay. Bottom line.
The only time I would recommend you do a market order is if the bottom is falling out on a company and you really just want to get the fuck out. Okay. Because there are times where it's like, you know what? I just got some news. The market is just turning right now. Here's an example. Verizon today. Wall Street Journal comes out. Verizon says, hey, they have lead in their copper cables, right? You, let's say, we're smart enough to be on Wall Street Journal at the same time as this news hits. And you're like, you know what? Fuck this. I've been wanting to trim Verizon. Let me get the fuck out. Do not try to put in a limit order and wait until that limit order gets in. That's where you do market price and get the hell out quick before anyone else gets in there and tries to sell it below you. But don't do it. Don't. Yeah. You have to be smart.
I'm glad you brought up Verizon. I don't want to go into too long. But everything in New York has lead in it. Okay, so I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about.
In the 50s, they had lead in paint. They had lead in gas.
It's in every single pipe in the ground. Okay, every single pipe. Okay, it's in every single wall, basically. So, all right. I don't know if this is a big deal in the long run.
Yeah.
All right. Last super chat by our guy TJ. He's very thankful for this Enphase play. Bought in over 53,000 in premiums from Enphase so far.
Nice.
That's because of you guys. That's because of Vitaly and Carlos.
TJ, man.
But see, the problem with TJ, I'm going to shit on him for a second. He hasn't bought any shares.
But he's waiting. No, because he's waiting for it to hit.
No, he keeps rolling it back and pushing the date.
That's true. He does a lot of rolling.
He's doing another emit. TJ, if you're
no, hold on.
No, he's actually making money waiting on.
Yeah, Vitaly, he's got a process. It works for him.
That's true.
As an investor, whatever process that works for you is what you go with. For me, you guys know I am a spreads guy. That's what makes me money.
Chris spreads them wide.
I spread them wide and I do what I do. But this is what I mean. Like TJ, he knows his wheel strategy. He knows it in and out. I've had conversation with him about this. This guy has more knowledge technically when it comes to creating and doing these spreads than we will ever have. And he's been doing it successfully for a significant period of time. He's also had losses doing it. So he's also tempered and he knows what not to do, right? That's the key. So whatever works, there's multiple ways that we can skin this cat. And there's a Robert Frost from Two Roads.
Okay, so let me ask TJ. I wish he came on. Can he come on for 2 minutes, or we're getting?
No, we gotta go. We gotta go.
Okay, tomorrow. And think about this, TJ. Tomorrow, when are you actually going to buy Enphase? That's
He doesn't
the
give a fuck
knowledge.
about Enphase. He wants the premiums. You love Enphase. He doesn't love Enphase as much. He just wants the premiums.
He
If
just
Enphase
said no,
doesn't
but he
strike,
just said
he'll
I'm
buy
not buying shares yet. I'm waiting on earnings info. So when is Enphase's earnings? Let's see. When's Enphase's earnings?
See, Vitaly thinks earnings is going to be great. I know, Vitaly, you think earnings.
No,
is
I
gonna be
said
great.
earnings is going to be
I'm with
flat. We talked about this already a billion times already.
Yeah.
I don't
That
think
won't
earnings. I think
matter.
earnings. I think earnings is going to be good. I
It's
think
not the
baked in.
earnings that matters. It's if they guide Q3. That's what's going to matter. Okay.
Okay,
If
that's
they
fair.
say we're going back to double-digit growth, boop, off to the moon.
10
If they-
days. 10 days. Enphase 27th.
We got to live stream it, Vitaly. We got to live stream that.
Yeah, well, I'm
one.
definitely going to live stream that. Absolutely.
I'm telling you, don't expect Beyonce, and then Lizzo shows up.
The problem is
the average target price. The average target price for Enphase right now is 260.
Yeah.
That's across 23 Wall Street analysts.
Yeah.
For 12 months.
Everybody knows the story already, and everybody is waiting for the same thing.
The highest analyst.
Well, you were
price,
waiting. I was buying it.
302.
I think it's going to do well. I think Vitaly's portfolio is going to move like hundreds of thousands on earnings.
So,
It's
so
gonna
me
be
and my
crazy.
wife, I'm not going to say the numbers, but me and my wife, I told her today, I'm like, if this happens, honey, she's like, why am I working? I'm like, go back to work.
Yeah, dude, that's another reason not to tell other people, because you know what? My wife will be like, hey, maybe I won't have to pull this overtime shift. No, go right ahead. You're gonna make good money. No, go right ahead. We got this trip coming for Italy. You need to work.
Yeah, the Russian Jewish mentality is you better still grind no matter what is happening.
Yes,
100%.
That's a good Jew
Wake the
trait as
fuck
well. Good Jews, we never sleep properly. We always like, yo, where am I gonna make my next dollar? That's how it is, bro.
That's it. TJ says wanted at 150. If not, I'll buy it outright and sell calls.
Well,
All right.
TJ, what I did was I sold a lot of puts for 2025. I want to tell him this. I sold so many. I don't even want to get into the number at this point. I sold so many puts at 150. They paid $30 a share. I don't think I'm ever going to get those shares. That means it has to go to 120. Some of them are
you're not getting those shares. You're not getting.
Some of them
those
are at
shares.
100, like just 2 years out. I'm like, we'll see if I ever get a share of Enphase from that. I've never gotten a put filled.
Okay. This was a good podcast, man. We had 600, we had 700, 1.650 here still till the end of the podcast. Thank you for joining. If you're new to the podcast, like and subscribe. Johnny's going to put our actual Finance Junkies podcast channel that we're going to be switching to by the end of probably August.
And if you did enjoy,
Full-time
tell
on that.
one person. If you did enjoy, tell one person to come on, even if it's just to
Tell your mom.
us in the chat.
Tell her to come on.
Right. Tell you right. The person you want to tell how much money you have, bring them on. Tell them to come watch the channel.
Yeah.
Twitter's in the description
We'll,
as well.
we'll tell your mom how much money
We'll tell your
made.
mother how rich you are. Yeah, bring her on.
All right. Good
All
night,
right.
everybody.
This
All
was
right,
good,
bye.
guys. We'll be back tomorrow at 10 p.m. Thank you, everybody. Have a great one.
Bye.
Good night.
Later.